It's also National Dear Santa Letter Week, which means Santa Claus is coming up, and we're going to hear about that later in the program. It's National Geography Awareness Week, which leads to its National Louisiana Day, and National Scrapple Day. If anybody in here knows what Scrapple is, I'll give them a free... You know what it is? All right. How about that? And importantly, this Saturday is Veterans Day, and so today our program is dedicated to veterans. So to kick off our program, I'd like to invite retired Colonel Ted McAdam up to kick off our Veterans Day program. Ted.
Thank you, President Dave. The key to success in air power is flexibility, and we're being flexible today. We've had a few electronic challenges, but I would like to call the Palo Verde High School Honor Guard to post the colors. We will now play the national anthem. Jim, would you please come and introduce the national anthem?
Thank you, Ted. Fellow Rotarians and honored guests, in a time when we turn on the news and see endless negative stories concerning the future of our country, via the teenagers of America, we should pause and take great pride in realizing that there are many of America's children, like those that you are about to see, like our color guard here today, who work hard, pay great respect to our military, and regularly honor this amazing country of ours. The following is a version of our national anthem that was played here 1 year ago today and is back by popular demand. What you're about to see is 500 high school choir students sing the United States national anthem in a high-rise hotel. Each night before curfew, they gathered on their balconies of an 18-story atrium hotel at Louisville's downtown Hyatt Regency to sing the Star-Spangled Banner as part of the Kentucky Music Educators Convention. Trust me, you can't help but get goosebumps and swell with pride when you hear them sing.
Why
You can be at ease. Bill Steeren, would you come lead us in the invocation, please?
So who wants to follow that? I have observed over the last dozen decades that from time to time there's a tragedy, horrendous events. And thereafter, we hear about prayer, we hear about God. The church's pews fill up, and it fades away too soon. I have also heard that this is one of the best clubs. And I say to you, it is, because every meeting, we start our meeting with a prayer and an invocation. To those people, the victims, the families, the friends, who have been affected by the senseless recent events, in your time of sorrow, our thoughts and prayers are with you. Lord, look upon this group of Rotarians and friends gathered here today. We thank you for this opportunity for refreshment and fellowship. We thank you for the blessings you have bestowed upon us. Thank you for the birds that sing and the sun that shines. We ask you to continue to guide us in our endeavors and give us the will and energy to be a positive influence for good in our community and the world. Uniting men and women everywhere in peace and freedom, and promoting the dignity of the human person everywhere, so that at the end of our day, the world's a little less hungry and a little more peaceful. Amen.
Thank you, Bill. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance Thank you. Please be seated. How about a big round of applause for our ROTC Color Guard? Did a great job again this year. Thanks for being here. Do we have any international guests? Do we have a working mic? Our Sergeant at Arms today is Kim Nyoni. So, Kim, are you ready to fire up there? Got a mic that's working? All right. Any international visitors today? Looks like we do.
From Calgary. Oh, yeah. It is on. From Calgary, we have our stand-in Mary Canadian. He's here all the time, so I think he's one of us. Right? Anyways, you're showing the weather?
I am, and unfortunately, I have to go home next week, and it's already snow and ice there, but it's not all bad. I'll be back. I got tickets for the Golden Knights, so I'll be here fairly regular. Thanks.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor.
Nice seeing you again. Any other international guests? That's it? How about visiting Rotarians? Please raise your hand. If we got any visiting Rotarians today? You're introduced as a guest. Please stand up so everybody can see you. It's a big room, and it's hard if you don't stand up. So.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My guest today is Mr. Hector Delgado over here. I met Hector just today, actually. He met my sister a week ago, or 2 weeks ago, and she met more people in 1 week than I've known in, like, the last 5 years. So Hector is a former U.S. Marine. He was on the first wave going into Iraq in 2003, April 2003. He joined the Marines in 1999, and on that initial wave, he got into a vehicle accident, and he has, fought that for a few years, but he's really stepped up now, and he's head of the Semper Fi Fund here in Las Vegas. And what they do is they help Marines that, and as Hector was describing, in many cases, people serve in their homes or on the street or wherever they are. He goes out there and leads them. He's helping on his case list right now, all from around this area. So, Hector Delgado.
So I cover Nevada, Arizona, Utah, and Colorado. And between those 4 states, I have approximately about 80 Marines that I look after. And it's more along the lines of a liaison. I get these guys connected to their post-war readjustment.
Thank you, Hector, and welcome.
Yeah, welcome, and thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you for your service.
We have a guest of the club. Many of you know Rex Doty. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about him a little later on. He's with Toys for Smiles that you remember with the wooden toys for our Santa Claus program.
Welcome. Great to see you again. Other guests? I've got a bunch, but I'll save mine for last.
This is his 3rd visit, and he may be a prospective member.
Welcome. Great to see you again.
Welcome, welcome.
Other guests? Any others besides me? Yeah, I'll introduce her, but Bill. All right, well, I'm sorry, over here.
Good afternoon. I brought with me today my service member and gorgeous husband, Rory Lozano.
Past President Dave and fellow Rotarians, it's my pleasure to have today one of my partners, Mark Gardberg. He's a fantastic transactional attorney. He does just phenomenal work. I can't recommend him highly enough. I also have 2 members of Miracle Network with me today. I've got Mark Brown and Michelle Moon.
Great, welcome.
Welcome.
All right, and my list, I brought my entire staff. USO Las Vegas staff is here today. And so in no particular order, Sarah Bell, want to stand up, Sarah? She's our programs manager for the USO here in Las Vegas. Deborah Ayers, she's our center operations supervisor here in Las Vegas. We have Clay Barber, who's a Pathfinder scout out at Nellis Air Force Base, Clay, and also a retired Marine. Sarah Sebast, who's with our Pathfinder program as well. And Kelly Foliard, who's our site manager at Nellis Air Force Base. In addition to that, I've invited a couple of our volunteers. We have over 300 volunteers at the USO, and many of them are extremely involved. One is Bob Canfield. Bob, if you wouldn't mind standing up. And Bob's a great volunteer of ours, does a tremendous amount of work for the USO. And Chantel Burbank, another very involved volunteer. So I'd like to welcome both of them. And my wife, Chieko, former First Lady of the club. Chieko's here visiting today. And, of course, you all remember my daughter, Maya, who's in uniform and visiting here today as well. So please give a round of applause to all of our visiting Rotarians and guests. Lisa Petronovich. Our greeters were Janelle Lozano and Tyler Wistison. Tickets, John and Marie working the ticket desk. Our invocation by Bill Steerin. I'd like to thank Jim Tucker for being on photographer again, and Stu Lipoff and past President Steve Linder have volunteered to do teardown. I'd also like to invite Captain Dowdy to come up here and give us a quick introduction of our JROTC color guard, if you wouldn't mind. Or actually, why don't you just take, Kim, could you take the mic back to the captain? Kim, could you take the mic back to the captain real quick? And just want to introduce the color guard here, if you have a minute.
Good afternoon, everyone. I have the honor of being the senior ROTC instructor at Palo Verde High School. With me today is one of my 4th years, Ms. Thorson, as she was introduced to you before. But my color guard kids as well, they are 3rd year and 2nd year cadets. And they work very, very hard. They're very professional. As Mr. McAdams said, flexibility is the key to air power. We showed up today. We didn't know exactly what to do for your presentation. the kids mastered it, and I thought they did a real excellent job.
A couple of slight modifications in the program today. The colonel's going to go on a little bit early so that we can end a little bit early. The color guard is actually going to do a flag folding ceremony for us that I think you'll all enjoy. It only takes 2 or 3 minutes, but we will be starting a little bit early and wrapping up with the presentation a little bit early. But don't run off when the presenter's done, because we have one final flag folding and then, of course, retiring of the colors today. We'll also be having Ted McAdam back up here to recognize the veterans in our crowd here today a little bit later. We're going to get the announcements out of the way first. So first announcement on the agenda is Bob Fisher. He has a foundation announcement. Is Bob here? I didn't see Bob. Oh, there he is.
Good afternoon, everybody. The foundation board over the next month or so is going to be spending 2 or 3 minutes each week to begin to really explain what our foundation is. I have to tell you honestly that when I first became a member of this club and I heard the foundation and I saw people getting checks, I didn't know what it was, and I didn't understand what it was. And back then, say 5 years ago, 6 years ago, there would be people talking at the table and saying, well, what kind of accountability is there? We never get any reports. We don't know anything, and all we know is that there's a lot of money, and we give away a lot of money. I was fortunate enough to submit my name to be on the board of the foundation. And the first time I didn't make it, but I really wanted to be a part of it, and I submitted my name the second time. And I was elected thanks to you and thanks to your vote. And then the interesting thing that happened was, and I believe, Steve, it was during your year, it was the overhaul. It was really the overhaul of the foundation. There were so many people that asked so many questions who were on the board and worked so hard. And the thing that I learned more than anything, if you look at the names of the people who are serving on the board of your foundation, there is such accountability. There is such expertise. There is such commitment to be a good shepherd of our foundation. And the thing that was extraordinary is that they were not worried about this year, and they were not worried about next year. Everything they were doing was to ensure that the foundation would survive long after any of us are members of this club. There is that kind of vision. And so, to be the first person who is speaking, I just want everybody to know your foundation is in good hands. It is an extraordinary group of people who care so much and want to make sure that every single dollar is accountable. And it is an honor to be part of the board of your foundation.
Thank you, Bob. And I think we are well on our way to hitting our $2 million mark by the end of Michael's year. So please continue your support of our foundation. Shannon Brown from Beckley is here. We have a Beckley update, I believe. There she is. Kim, if you could take the mic over there.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's nice to see everyone's smiling faces. We have a lot of amazing things going on at Beckley. We finished our Fall Harvest Festival on October 20th, and our school was able to raise a total of $6,641. Okay, my old theater major coming out. So, pardon me. I'm all over the place today. So that's actually $1,500 more than we made the previous year. So thank you so much for all of your support with making sure that we were able to hold a very successful fundraiser for our school, because It really, really did bring in a lot of needed money for our supplies and things at school. The amazing Miss Troop, my assistant principal, who I could not live life without at Beckley Elementary School, is going to be giving you guys some additional information about some things that we're really looking forward to here in just a moment. Next week, if any of you guys are interested, on Wednesday the 15th, we are running what's called a Zoom family night. It's a family night that starts at 4:30 in the evening, and we have different activities and events going on, and it's all related to like health and wellness. So if you guys are interested in any of that, please feel free to come on down because we'd love to see your faces. I'm going to go ahead and pass this back over to the amazing Cheryl Troop.
Thank you very much. You know, I just wanted to take a minute this morning and thank you all. We have the Santa Claus event coming up very soon, and I know that that's a big project for you folks, and I just want you to know that it really touches the heart of our kids. When they come back with those clothes and they get to walk into school the next day, it's really special for them. So thank you. Thank you very much.
And I am very excited because this will be my first opportunity to participate in Santa Claus. I was actually a Santa Claus kid back in the day, so this really, truly does mean something very, very close to my heart. So again, just like Ms. Troop says, thank you so very much for all of your support. Beckley appreciates you more than I can even say in words. Thanks, guys.
Let's give it up for our educators. They do a great job for our kids here in town. And Jim, we've got that's our second person that was in Santa Claus and now is supporting Santa Claus. That's really, really neat. If you could take the mic, Kim.
Come out. Hello, everyone. I have a very bittersweet announcement. If I had a therapist, they'd say I cover emotion with humor, so I'm going to try to get through this with a little bit of humor. I am relocating to Syracuse, New York. So it will happen sometime in December. Don Brown, my partner of 26 years, was offered the CEO and presidency of Davis Ulmer, a very large fire protection company based in his hometown of Syracuse, New York. So we're going to move back, be near some family. Kind of breaks my heart to leave here. I do want to thank my good friends, the Linders. Steve and Janet were the first people I met in town, took me under their wing, and I'm eternally grateful. And last but not least, I would say for all of you, I have done a little bit of everything in the club. President of the 25 Club, did the highway cleanup, which I'm still going to do, darn it, before I leave again. And just a lot of great activities. My mom and I have done Santa Claus together, and it's just been a great experience. You're a great group. I don't think the Baldwinsville Rotary Club can top you, but I'm going to join it, darn it, so when I move in December. And last but not least, because I'm all about Rotary and keeping things in the family, Doug, if you could just stand up. Doug Grant, fellow Rotarian, good friend of mine, is taking over my FranNet business. So I'm keeping it in the family. He's a great guy, one of the most professional, sharp people I know, and he's a franchising expert. So thank you to everyone, and I'm going to pass up the mic before I... Okay.
All right, well, thank you for your great service to our club, Sarah. We're really going to miss you. For all of that activity going on. Michael left me a great program. Besides the Veterans Day program, we get to give away some money today, which is one of my favorite things. I think it's one of all of our favorite things. So first I'm going to invite President-elect Jim Cole up to make a presentation to Miracle Flight.
Thank you again, President Dave. And first, I need to apologize to Christina. I don't know why I called her Michelle, but I'm very happy and pleased on behalf of the Las Vegas Rotary Foundation and on behalf of Howard & Howard Attorneys to present a check to the Miracle Flight Foundation in the amount of $5,000.
Thank you very much. My name is Mark Brown, and I'm the CEO of Miracle Flights. I'm a former Rotarian, the Southwest Rotary, but I have left a lot of money in this room in my day when we used to meet here, 4 or 5 time Paul Harris Fellow. But on behalf of Miracle Flights, I'm very grateful. We've been in this community for 32 years. And what Miracle Flights does is we fly sick children and their families to specialized health care all over the country. We started out 32 years ago in Las Vegas using private pilots. About 10, 11 years ago, we transitioned over to all commercial airlines. And so now, even though we're based here, we do 700 flights, as I said, all over the country from children that need specialized medical care. And so this money will go a long way in helping to continue our mission. One of the things that we also did after the recent tragedy that we suffered here, we expanded our mission to fly in a number of the families of victims that were either injured or unfortunately killed at the shooting. But beyond that, and this was something that I initially didn't think about when we first made that offer, we realized that a lot of those people that were injured and once they go back home are going to need medical care for years. They have a long journey ahead of them to try to get better. And we've agreed and are going to work with a lot of those families to let them know that the Las Vegas community is not going to forget them. We'll continue to fly them to any of the specialized care that they might need in the coming years. So, again, on behalf of Miracle Flights, Jim, very grateful. This will go a long way, and thank you very much.
Congratulations, and thank you for your service to our community as well. I'd like now to invite up past President Jim Hunt, and he's got some fun stuff for us. And I'm going to have you go right into the Santa Claus after this, if you would. Yeah.
Okay, we'll cover a couple things real quick. For those of you who get this zip code magazine, I think it's different zip codes, different parts of the city and everything, but it's pretty much the same magazine. You'll want to make sure you look into page 42 and read an amazing article about an amazing guy standing right next to me. He looks a lot like the guy in the photo. You know? His name's Rex Doty. Oh, pause and smile. And Rex began the organization called Toys for Smiles. And in the first couple of years that we were associated with that organization, he actually just gave us hundreds of individually made wooden toys that many of you see when you're shopping with us at the malls. We decided it's time to give back to him a little bit, and I know that this club's going to even do more in a little while. But for now, we want to say thank you to Rex. He'll be giving us hundreds of them again today. He's brought them with him. And we'd like to give him a check for $2,000 to help buy some more wood and work on the project some more. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wow.
What an honor. First of all, I want to thank all the veterans and the active duty personnel we have here. You make all this possible, so thank you. And we've been doing this for 11 years now, and just had a celebration giving away toward $300,000, with 90% of them being right here in Southern Nevada. So we're really honored to be able and be associated. 4 years ago, you guys know Larry Tomczyk. He invited me to a meeting, introduced me to Jim, and that's how we got with the Santa Claus. You know, what a great thing to do, and what you folks do for the community. We appreciate it. This goes a long way with us, and we'll use every penny of it to get donations to move forward wheels and axles and rent and everything and make more toys. So thank you.
Okay, just a quick update on Santa Claus. We're moving forward. We actually are trying to implement a new portion of the program this year. We're looking at helping some students at UNLV that actually get subsidized in their tuition. They have the grades, but they don't have the money. So we're actually looking at trying to help 10 of those students with some clothing as a kind of a secondary form of Santa Claus this year. I'll have more on that as we develop that. Right now, all I can ask you to do is continue to sign up to volunteer. We're looking really good at the Galleria Mall. I don't want to tell you not to sign up there, but if you have a choice, we could really use some more volunteers at the Grand Canyon Mall and at the Meadows Mall. Please continue to do that. Get recruits. This is going to be our biggest year ever, as I've mentioned, so we need lots of volunteers. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, we're going to go through our announcements, and then if we have a little bit of time for socializing, we'll do that, and then we'll get the Colonel up here. Jamie Goldsmith will be next on our announcements. Talk about our holiday party. Jamie. Where's Jamie? Oh, there she is. I forgot it's a Wetzel thing, so we'll put it over.
Hi, everyone. We're having the holiday party this year at the fabulous and our chef is excited to produce a beautiful surf and turf and wear your dancing shoes because we'll have a dance floor. So that's December 7th at 6 p.m. at Treasure Island.
Thank you, Jamie. Next up, Jackie Thornhill to talk about the Wetzel Awards, appropriate today.
Hi, everyone. November 30th, out at Nellis, we'll be having our fourth quarter Wetzel Awards, and we will be honoring airmen from both Nellis and Creech, as we always do. November 30th, please meet out at 2:30 at the Visitor Center, Las Vegas Boulevard and Craig Road at 2:30 if you need a ride into the base. If not, meet us at 3 p.m. We'll be in the new area because we have an overwhelming attendance. Remember, there'll be 5 award attendees, so please come out and honor our current service members. So come on out and join us and honor our military. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. And with that, I've been instructed to roll a video by President Michael.
Our club appreciates our military, and we realize that there are a lot of unsung heroes. There are people out at Nellis Air Force Base that are never recognized for their contributions.
We recognize every quarter 5 young airmen from all of the military that's located here in our local community.
Those people receive basically a night on the town.
Show tickets out on the town and vouchers that they can use for a hotel room if they want to have a staycation with their family. It's just a small way for us to say to them, thank you for serving us and thank you for your continued dedication to our country.
Thank you. So that's a reminder, and if you've never been out to Nellis to the awards, it's really a great event. It's in a much larger room now. We're not all crammed into the Warfare Center anymore, so there's plenty of space to be a little bit more comfortable. So come out if you can on the 30th. Next up, Eric Astromecki, 25 Club President Eric Astromecki, with some news for us as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Kim. Nice to see our new members stepping up. Got to, absolutely. So as you know, we've had our canned food drive now that benefits the Salvation Army going on since about July when we kicked it off. And I'm proud to say between all the events we've put on, we've raised over $6,383. And that's pretty awesome. It says a lot about what we can do. But with that being said, we still have 2 weeks left. So on November 22nd, which is a Wednesday, I know a lot of you know, smile. A lot of you know that our meeting there won't be that Thursday. It'll be on a Wednesday, and that's when we'll be wrapping up our canned food drive. The Salvation Army will be driving their truck. So if you have canned foods, please bring them in that day because we'll be doing a final count. We'll be loading those cans up. We'll be taking a tally of all the money that was donated, and we will see if once again we're able to beat the Kiwanis at raising more money and benefiting the Salvation Army again. So if there's any last-minute donations or you're looking at bringing in canned our goal this year was $10,000. We're still looking to get there, but still with that being said, the money we've raised so far is going to go for a great cause. So thanks again.
Thank you, Eric.
Oh, actually, sorry, past president. I'm not sure if you guys know this, but you guys have those little cards that you scan for groceries, and it gives you a discount, and you get a little portion of it back for gas. Directly to the foundation and to the Salvation Army canned food drive. This last quarter, we raised $4.23. So we actually don't get the check written until we get to $25. So I'm asking every single person in here, reach out to me and I can get you the form It's the same card you're using. You're already going to these grocery stores. You're already buying these goods. And there's a huge opportunity for us to get that number up. And so I want to make sure if you're not aware of it that I make you aware of it and I get you that information so you can sign up for it. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Eric. Next up is Marie Walsh to talk about Breakfast with Books.
Thank you. Hello, Rotarians. Next Tuesday, November the 14th, Breakfast with Books. We ask Rotarians that are interested to come to the school at 7:45. It starts at 8:05. The Green Book is coming around for sign-ups, and I would love to see a lot of Rotarians there. And thank you very much if you have already signed up.
Thank you, Marie. And Bob Fisher to talk about a hands-on project.
In the spectacular wheel, if you turn to page 7, there's just a note and a reminder. For the next 3 weeks, hopefully everybody's going Christmas shopping. You're going to go and you're going to remember to buy a toy. About $10 about. And starting next week, we're going to have some area on the table to start collecting those toys. The Salvation Army, believe it or not, is scheduled to give out 5,000 toys for this holiday season. So we keep on asking everybody to help and to help and to help. Toy. And they'll say, why are you getting a toy? Because I'm giving it away.
I'm going to invite Colonel McAdam back up here to restart our Veterans Day program. So, Ted?
Thank you, David. Well, this is a special luncheon for us. And before I introduce our guest speaker, I would like to invite every person in the room who is either on active duty or was once upon a time on active duty with the reserves, the Guard, Coast Guard, whatever. Any relationship with the U.S. military, would you please stand right now? Please stand right now. Remain standing. What does all this stuff mean? And I'm referring to some terms and maybe some to carve through some of the mist, perhaps provide some definition and some clarity to some of these terms. We have invited the Vice Commander of the 432nd Wing at Creech Air Force Base, Colonel David Bisonet. I call him Bison. He doesn't know that. His tactical call sign is Deuce. He's going to open the door to Creech Air Force Base and explain what's going on. Colonel Bisonet.
Thank you all for inviting us today, because it is, it's Veterans Day weekend, and while I'm here, I want to thank you all for taking this time, for offering us the opportunity to share our story with the rest of the Las Vegas Valley. Before we get too far into this, we already recognize all the military veterans that were here today. And going into the Veterans Day weekend, people are always looking to recognize the folks that are serving on active duty or in the reserves, the Air National Guard, the Army Guard. I also want to take a moment to thank the rest of you that are here as well. We are visitors in your community, and I've been here since 2009. I went away for a couple years, but I'm now back. These are our homes as well, right? Our moms and our dads are not, we have a handful that grew up here in Las Vegas, but most of us are not. What you are doing here in the Rotary Club, so my dad was a Rotarian, and so I've been familiar with it for a long time. What you are doing here is equally important to our society, to our nation, providing that connective tissue, providing service to those around us. I mean, you heard several different opportunities and things that your club is doing to help people in the valley. Thank you for recognizing us, but I also want to thank all of you for everything you do every day for everybody that is living here in the valley. our military community takes advantage of a lot of what you offer, but more importantly, you are one of the organizations that makes this not just a place to live, but it's a community where we all work together. And thank you all for what you do for us. All right, I was told once that we always want to start off with a joke or a story, and tonight we're going to start with a video, or this afternoon with a video. I'm going to cue it up to you real briefly. The entire duration of the video is the entire duration of the event as it will unfold in real time. And the folks that are involved in this, your focus is on the young people in our society. 50% of our organization, which is over 2,500 people strong, are all under the age of 25. And this is what they do for our country every day.
Our main mission is persistent, dominant attack and reconnaissance for our U.S. forces as well as our coalition partners. Most days start out the same. We show up on base and we get what our mission is going to be for that day. This day started out just like that, and we didn't expect anything to be different as we're walking through the door. So when we first got in the seat, we had checked in with our coalition forces on the ground. We got an update of where they were to keep them safe. That's our primary focus. And then what they were looking for that day. We then started scanning around, gathering intelligence of the local area. That's when we noticed a vehicle out of the corner of the screen that was moving towards the friendly force location. This was not normal of an action for the town. So we relayed to the friendly forces that this was coming towards them. When we zoomed in, we noticed features that distinguished it from a normal vehicle, such as armor plating, such as the tires and wheels being blocked off in the windshield, so that bullets from rifles couldn't penetrate it. This is an indication for us of a V-bed or a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device. So we relayed this to friendlies so they could try to take as much action as possible.
Stand by for friendlies, but there'll be no mark. Stand by for friendlies. Egress overhead.
However, based on the speed that we saw them, we knew they may only have a few minutes until this Mad Max vehicle, as we called it, actually reached them.
9588 feet. Label this Mad Max.
And that's when we had to take the actions that we did.
Ready when you are. Ready? It's a vehicle, just shoot it.
The 1 minute was the planning, and then actually a 30-second time of flight, and all in all, it only took about 2 minutes or 2 minutes and 20 seconds. A Hellfire explosion on our camera, you can see a small explosion, only a few meters, a few feet, washed out on the screen. However, on this explosion, we had to zoom out multiple levels back and back to even see it. Looking at it afterwards, it was approximately 400 meters, about 4 football fields wide of an explosion, which is abnormal for a Hellfire. So we knew right then, we had verification that this was indeed a car bomb.
Rifle, 5 seconds, splash. Splash. 4-6, splash.
We stopped this vehicle roughly about a mile away from friendlies, and if we estimated it had it continued, it would have been less than a minute until friendly forces would have came in contact with them. We had a total of about 800 to 850 estimated friendly forces on the ground, coalition, U.S., as well as the indigenous Iraqis. Our weapon is designed to save lives on the ground. We're very precise. We can put our weapons in places that most fighters cannot. We can get closer to ground forces with less risk. To the guys on the ground, I just want to say that we are there for them every day. Our sole job and purpose is to make sure that they're safe.
That is what our young Americans are doing for our country every day. So those events unfolded outside of Mosul in Iraq probably about 9 months ago. And it was ISIS was still in control of the city, and these are some of the ISIS fighters that were trying to attack the Iraqi forces that were hopefully and have since retaken that city from ISIS. So what are we doing up at Creech? Creech Air Force Base, about 53 miles from where we're standing right now, way up in Indian Springs. So you guys all know where OJ's prison is on the way up north. We're about another 20 minutes past OJ. It's unfortunate. I feel kind of sad now that he's no longer there because I used to say hi to him every morning as I drove by. I don't know if he knew that or not. But what you just saw is what we were providing the combatant commanders, so the folks that are in charge of fighting our nation's wars across the globe each and every day. Our priorities are obviously to win the fights that we've been given to execute, empowering our airmen to innovate. We're a rapidly changing community, and we rely on our very youngest folks to make our wars. And then just like a lot of you in this room, one of our biggest priorities making sure that we get folks the and then supporting the Hunter family. So we go by the Hunters. That's our nickname for our organization. And a lot of the folks in this room, we've got some honorary commanders, obviously the USO, a lot of other folks in the community that do things for our organization up at Creech. That's a lot of patches across the top. I'm going to go across from left to right just real fast. We got a couple of folks that do some support on the two on the left. Then we've got 12 combat squadrons that are flying MQ-9s, and then a couple squadrons that are flying RQ-170s, which are kind of little B-2 stealth drones. You won't see those around very much, but they're out and about. And then we've got a couple groups of folks that are providing that are essentially our landlords up there at Creech, and they're actually assigned to the Nellis, the broader Nellis community, but they are very much an intrinsic part of our organization. All told, we're about 2,600 folks. If you include all the contractors that are working up there as well, we go upwards of about 3,500 people that call Creech their office on a day-to-day basis. These are the two airplanes that we're primarily flying. On the left is the MQ-1 Predator. It's about the size of a Cessna 172 that you would have seen on that video. Can carry 2 Hellfire missiles. Hellfire missile, for the uneducated, is it's an Army-designed weapon to go after tanks. And we've modified it over the course of the last 15, 20 years, and it can do all kinds of crazy stuff now, where I can shoot at targets that are behind me. But it's a pretty amazing weapon. It's only got a 5-pound warhead, and as you saw with that explosion for that vehicle-borne explosive, I mean, that was a really large explosion for just a 5-pound warhead. So it's still very, very effective. The MQ-1s will be phased out here in the springtime, so our last sorties up at Creech will be in the March timeframe. On the right is what we're moving to, which is a lot larger. It's about the size of an A-10, which is the Army's favorite ground attack aircraft with a big 30-millimeter cannon. Ours doesn't have the big Gatling gun, but we do carry 4 Hellfire missiles and a couple 500-pound bombs. Much more resilient, flies faster and all that kind of thing. And so the Air Force is moving to that as we go forward. Here are a couple of the sensors that we have on the airplane. So on the left is just an electrical optical picture. So that's the TV camera that we have on board the airplane. On the right-hand side is that same picture or a similar picture in infrared. So looking at the differences in the heat signature on the ground. Not too different than the cameras that you have on your police helicopters that are flying around the Las Vegas Rally right now. One unique thing, though, that we have is a synthetic aperture radar. So if it's cloudy outside, in the bottom center is a picture that we can generate just by using an onboard radar and taking a whole bunch of pictures, and you stitch them together, and it builds an image of the metal that's out there. Just to get a sense of how good these cameras are, this would be a normal, you're looking out the window of the airplane as it's flying. And that's the target that we're going to look at within that red circle. And we got a couple different zoom levels. We're going to move a little bit closer, a little bit closer, a little bit closer. Okay. On the infrared, same kind of thing. We can see pretty good detail on the individual targets. And that's why, when we were able to zoom in on that particular vehicle, we got a pretty okay. Just like the police, we have to have a specific reason to be looking at particular targets on the ground. So we're prohibited by law from going out and looking inside the Las Vegas Valley. We've got some training ranges just north of us, the Nevada Test and Training Range, where we have targets that are set up, and there's not people out there. There's just trucks and some of these airplanes as well, and they've got a different legal authority than the active duty military, where they've got some police action responsibilities, where a sheriff or a deputy could come and get in the back of the cockpit, and we can use these systems in order to help them out. We were involved in disaster relief in Haiti. We've done some of not my unit, but these types of airplanes have been involved with some of the firefighting, the wildfires that have been going on in California in the Northwest. How do we do this when we're flying from here in Nevada while the airplanes are over Iraq and Afghanistan? When we first built these airplanes, we had to fly them kind of like you would with your the commercial quadcopters that you can go down to Lowe's and pick up, or not Lowe's, but like Target and that kind of stuff, where I had to be able to see the airplane as it was flying around. And that's how we fought when we went to Bosnia back in 1998. And what happened is, if you're familiar with the terrain out there, there's a whole bunch of mountains. And every now and then the plane would fly behind the mountain, we'd lose contact with the airplane, and then it would have to go fly this. We're like, okay, we need to find a solution to that. And so what we did is we tied in some commercial satellites that are across the globe, and instead of communicating with the airplane via just a line-of-sight antenna, now we communicate via satellites, just a commercial off-the-shelf. I don't know who all the vendors are, but if you wanted for your business to use some satellite time, they're the same vendors that we would use as well. So now what we do is I'm going to do a little pointing here. While the airplane is over in Afghanistan, we've got our cockpits that are located here in Nevada. I will be in the cockpit. I'll move the stick, move the throttle, try and get the airplane to go faster. And the cockpit that I'm in turns all those switch actuations into just ones and zeros. Standard like you would be when you're typing email out on AOL or chat on AOL. Those ones and zeros, that digital command goes across the terrestrial fiber optic networks that we have here in the United States. So it could be AT&T, could be Verizon, could be Dave and Sue's backyard fiber optic network over in the middle of the Midwest. Those signals go over to the East Coast. Once they get to the East Coast, they go underneath the Atlantic Ocean on some of the fiber optic cables that we have there, over to a satellite farm in the middle of Europe. Once those signals get to Europe, they get beamed up through satellite dishes to the satellites that are over the Middle East. They bounce off that satellite and down to the top of the airplane. The airplane gets those ones and zeros and says, hey, I know what to do with this. Adds more fuel to the engine, deflects the flight controls, moves the camera, and the airplane reacts accordingly. Once it reacts, it takes the feedback, pushes it back through the satellite dish to the satellite dish, underneath the Atlantic Ocean, across the terrestrial fiber optic networks, back to our cockpits, and then we get to see on our end what the airplane is doing. And then from there, when we're tracking that Mad Max vehicle, it takes about a second good enough for us to be able to go and attack those types of vehicles. So it's pretty cool technology we're using. This is what the cockpit looks like. A lot of monitors, but there's still a little tough to read here. But we still have a stick and a throttle like you would in an airplane. You've got a bunch of radios in the center. Cockpit display is what you would see looking out the front of the airplane. The big takeaway is that it's a lot of the same stuff as you would have inside of an F-15 or any of the modern fighters that we have out there today. We're just not constrained by that three-dimensional shape of an F-15, which is in the bottom left-hand corner, right? So in the F-15, they've got a lot of 4-inch by 4-inch monochrome displays. Well, if I'm not tied to that particular shape, why don't I use a 21-inch monitor with nice colors and all that kind of stuff? So that's why our cockpits look the way they do, the little little funky. Where are we conducting current operations? Primarily in Iraq, Syria, and Afghanistan today. We do have some folks that are doing a little bit of work in Africa and in Yemen, but not a whole lot. Primarily, the vast majority is Syria, Iraq, fighting ISIS. Obviously, the Taliban they're still a factor out in Afghanistan. This is a couple months old picture of the laydown of forces within Iraq and Syria. So all the light green area in the top are the forces that we're aligned with, and that was the land they occupied at that point in time. And the red is the remaining area that ISIS had controlled. I'll let you know that all the red in the center is all pretty much now just around those two towns. So if you were watching the news over the course of the last week or two, we were almost done with taking all of the territory, all of the real estate away from ISIS. So that's a really big deal for our country. And thanks. One of the interesting things that the story that we'd like to tell, when we first brought these airplanes on, when we first bought the two demonstrators from the Army and then started buying them as an Air Force, we were primarily just doing intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance using those cameras that I showed you. What has transpired since 2001, so I don't know if you guys remember anything that happened in 2001, but as part of that, we started putting weapons on these airplanes because someone might have been watching Osama bin Laden at some point in time, but unable to do anything about it. And so we wanted to make sure that if we had the opportunity, if our airplanes were there and we saw that type of a target, that we could go ahead and strike him instead of just having to sit there and watch. I think the Benghazi situation is another story where we did actually have a Predator that was overhead when Benghazi was getting overrun, but due to the restrictions that the host nation had, we did not have weapons on the airplane, and so we got to just be the news reporters in the sky with the video camera without a whole lot of ability to do much about it. That has changed over time, and where we are right now is in the bottom left-hand corner. There's it's a chart with some stats. It's probably hard to read from the back of the room, even from the front of the room with old man eyes like I have. It's a prioritized list of different types of airplanes and how many weapons that they're dropping. So if any folks are familiar with the A-10, still dropping the preponderance of forces in 2016, of weapons in 2016. They are with all the different fighters that we have in the Air Force, the Navy, and the Marine Corps inventory, at least in this particular theater. So a lot of work. So June of 2016, as we were moving into Iraq and Syria and moving ISIS out, this is one of the main cities that was a throughway between their eastern
What's little known about that operation that took just over 2 months to free Manbij from the control of ISIS is that air crews flying U.S. Air Force MQ-1Bs and MQ-9s provided over 11,000 hours of persistent attack and reconnaissance in direct support of the partnered force on the ground. That's over 500 sorties from our cockpits in the continental United States.
I think the most difficult thing about being a sensor operator during this offensive was keeping mentally, physically focused on what was going on. Because at any given time, we were sent over to help out if we were nearby. And I always had to be mentally prepared to release weapons and to get rid of the enemy assets to make sure our guys on the ground were safe.
One of the things that's important to remember about going after and really getting to the heart of what was going on in Manbij is that the people that we were fighting were not the the residents of Man Beach. Ultimately, we wanted as much as possible, I think, as a fighting force for them to have a home to go back to.
Most of the action was on the outskirts of the town, so a lot of it was small villages, open country. As they pushed in towards July, they actually were able to encircle the city and began the offensive in a more difficult environment, and were able to provide full motion video and a better situational awareness of the battlefield. We also don't have to do aerial refueling. We're able to stay on station for 20 hours at a time and provide a constant overwatch for the friendly forces.
One of the things that I saw in Man Beach that I thought was truly unique was the proximity, where we can be a lot more precise with the weapon. We can have the effect that we need to have, which is to strike at enemy forces, to strike at enemy vehicles, enemy weapons, caches, or something like that, without turning an entire building into rubble.
MQ-109 air crews employed over 300 Hellfires. That's over 40% of the total of kinetic strikes executed by any coalition platform.
It was very rewarding for my squadron to see the results of their disciplined use of air power. When, in late August, we saw the video that was coming out of Man Beach, the video of the men, women, and children reclaiming their city, they were very happy to be free from ISIS rule. And we were absolutely proud to play a critical part in the liberation of this city and to making their lives better.
For the past 70 years, the Air Force has been breaking barriers as a member of the finest joint warfighting team on the planet. And what that joint warfighting team accomplished in Manbij, with our coalition partners in the air and partnered forces on the ground, is evidence of the fact that the military defeat of ISIS is inevitable.
All right, just going to give you a close with a couple quick charts. When we first started, when we first moved up to Creech Air Force Base, it was back in the late 90s, so 95, 96. It was a very small program. When I first showed up in the 2009 time frame, we were flying about 35, 32, 33 combat lines a day around the globe. We got up to 65 combat lines a day. I mean, that's from a business standpoint, I mean, that is incredible growth over the course of 10 years. And, we've brought a whole lot of people into the community. You guys have been incredibly supportive of everything that we're doing up there, so we thank you. Just a quick idea of what the day in the life is. We run 3 shifts, just like any kind of production facility, so a day shift, a swing shift, a mid shift. They are eligible to be in the seat about 8 hours a day, and because of the pre-brief that they have to do and then the post-brief that they have to do, it ends up being about 10 hours that they are at work, plus depending on where you live in the Vegas Valley, anywhere from a 30-minute to a full hour commute back and forth. So a day to do kind of administrative type work, a 2-day weekend, and then you'll lather, rinse, repeat. And you do that for about 6 weeks, and then you'll move shift from the day shift to the swings, and then swings to mids, and then mids back to days. So it's kind of a grind for the folks that are working up there. And I just want to call out the folks like the USO that have made spectacular effort to really help out those folks that are working those kinds of schedules. We also have a human performance team. Some folks, what's out in the media is that it's incredibly difficult from a psychological standpoint to be going home to mom and the kids after you've been out at work, killing enemy combatants across the globe. I'll tell you that it's not that bad. If you're making a movie, you want to tell the most glamorous story that's out there. And while we do have a couple folks that need help, the vast majority are quite solid. For those folks that actually do need help, we have a human performance team. We've got a good chaplain corps. We've got physiologists. We've got some operational psychologists that help people work through the different challenges that they might face. And it's not just tied to the actual combat itself, but it could be, family problems, marital problems, child care, health issues, that kind of thing. With that, I want to thank you all again for the support that you provide to the greater Las Vegas community. I know that our airmen, both at Creech and at Nellis, rely on a lot of the services that you provide. You talked about the Wetzel Awards already today. Vegas Valley from across the United States, in order to execute this mission, and we really couldn't do it without your help. So thank you all very much for everything you do for us.
Take a couple of questions?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, sir.
Two questions. One, does the enemy detect you? How do they detect you? And if they do detect you, what can you do about it when you're in the sky? And number two is, are the bad guys getting drones, and are you encountering them, and what are you doing about them?
Let's see, how do I want to attack that? Yes, other countries do have similar type of drones. So the Israelis have a series that they produce and that they export. Canada flew Israeli models for a period of time. We are exporting our version to our NATO allies. But the Iranians have some that they're operating as well. The Russians have some that they're operating. Most of them and certainly don't have the same capability of what you just saw in those couple of videos. So they are out there. As far as their people on the ground, their ability to detect us, there is. I mean, if I'm going to fly overhead in one of these airplanes, the MQ-1s and MQ-9s, while they're significantly quieter than the F-15s and the F-16s that you'll hear when you're over in the northeast corner of Las Vegas, you can still hear them. Particularly in Afghanistan, where you got a lot of mountains without a whole lot of trees to kill the sound. It funnels all that noise, and when there's no ambient noise because you're out on the hillside, they can hear us. We stay far enough away to try and reduce that sound profile, but if I fly directly overhead, they're going to hear me. Absolutely. Well, you just try and avoid it, right? I mean, you can't stop the airplane from making noise, unfortunately.
Why don't we uplink to a satellite from Nevada instead of doing all of that connection through underground cable to Europe?
Geometrically, if I have a satellite that is overhead the United States, it will not have the ability to reach to the other side of the globe. So you could do some sort of uplink to a satellite here and then bounce it off 2 or 3 satellites to get on the other side of the globe. Or we can just do fiber optic networks to get there. But we're just not under the same satellite footprint. Okay, sir?
Yeah, a year or so ago, I seem to remember hearing the Iranians' electronic
questions, but one is it strictly military who are sitting in front of those screens? Now, the Rotary was invited to a visit to Creech, and we saw the operation. And my other question is, how do you keep them if they're doing 50 hours a week? How do you really have them stay in concentration looking at a screen like that?
So the first question, we do have civilians that are flying these airplanes as well. We have some contractors that are here flying locally that are the schoolhouse teachers, right, that are teaching guys like me when I first show up how to do takeoffs, how to do landings, how to employ the systems. So we do have some contract folks. Some of these airplanes in Afghanistan and in Iraq. It's a very small subset, and they are not carrying any weapons whatsoever. So from a rule of law standpoint, civilians aren't allowed to shoot weapons, and so we make sure that they are not flying weaponized airplanes. What was the second question again? Yeah, retention is a big issue. It is a challenge. During that really steep growth, guys were working 6 days on, 1 day off, 12-hour shifts, and it was really, really tough. We have grown enough new pilots and sensor operators that we've gotten to the point where it's semi-sustainable, and we're going to grow over the course of the next few years. We're going to stand up some new squadrons, and we're going to be able to pull an entire squadron out of combat for 3 months at a time so that they can be home with their kids and they can just have somewhat of a normal life for that 3-month period before they go back in for another 6 months of combat. All right.
Thank you. Stay up here for just a second, if you would. Sorry to have to cut him short, but we do have to finish up the program. If you wouldn't mind staying a few minutes, there were a number of other people that had a few questions, and if you would entertain them for a couple of minutes, it'd be most of it. the Share What You Can award, and a meal will be provided to a veteran in need in your name. So thank you for being here, and thank you for your service to the country, Carol. Great to have you here. While the JROTC crew gets ready to do the closing here and the flag folding, I will do the raffle drawing. So we'll do that while they're getting ready to go. So for an opportunity to pick the Joker, the winning number is 382-1687. 382-1687. Steve Linder, past president Steve Linder. Come on up, Steve. And another Marine, I'll add. All right, the pot continues to grow. There's your $10. Thanks for playing. See you next week. 21879. Somebody must have it. All right, we'll pick another number then. If I can find our jar. There it is. All right, let's try this again. 382-1816. 1816. Aha! There we go. Walt. Congratulations. Show your card. Okay. Quick reminder, there's a car show meeting immediately after this meeting when we're done. So if you're on the car show committee, they're going to meet right in here, Janice? Right? Okay. Colonel McAdam, let's...
I'm going to call the junior ROTC cadets in for a flag folding ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, and members of the Las Vegas Rotary Club and invited guests. Welcome to the Palo Verde Air Force Junior ROTC Flag Folding Ceremony. The flag folding ceremony the portion of the flag denoting honor is the Canton Field of Blue. The Canton Field of Blue dresses from left to right and is inverted. The flag being folded by our team was flown over the skies of Kuwait and Iraq. During Operation South at the ceremony throughout the night as a tribute to our nation's honored dead. symbol of life. The second fold is a symbol of our belief in the eternal life. To attain peace throughout the world. The fourth fold represents our weaker nature, for as American citizens trusting in God, it is to Him we turn in time of peace, as well as in times of war, for His divine guidance. The fifth fold is a tribute to our country, for in the words of Stephen Decatur, our country, in dealing with other countries, may she always be right, but it is still our country, right or wrong. The sixth fold is for where our hearts lie. It is with our heart that we pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That we protect our within or without the boundaries of our republic. The eighth fold is a tribute to the for whom it flies on Mother's Day. The ninth fold is a tribute to womanhood, for it has been through their faith, love, loyalty, great, has been molded. The tenfold is a tribute to fathers. The 11th fold and to our nation courage, strength, and pride. After the flag is completely folded and tucked in, it takes on the appearance of a cocked hat, ever reminding us of the soldiers who served under General George Washington and the sailors and in the armed forces of the United States, preserving for us the rights, privileges, and freedoms we enjoy today. In the morning, the flag is brought out, and at the ceremony of Reveille, run aloft as a symbol of our belief in the resurrection of the body. Thank you. This concludes our ceremony. Will you please stand for the posting of the colors?
Hey, ho.
Thank you. Let's give it up for the JROTC group. Beautiful job. Again, thank you to all our veterans active duty. Thank you to all Rotarians for making a difference. And as a takeoff on what Michael would say, our military is like this hammer. Whoever has the biggest one usually wins. Meeting adjourned.